Hey guys, it's Morgan, and today I'm doing my October wrap up. So in October, I read 15 books, I believe. I didn't read them all. I listened to a lot of audiobooks, but I still count that. But yeah, I totaled 15 in October, which is just insane. That's crazy. I don't have all of the books. I think I have 12 of them, maybe. I don't know. I might be losing my mind. And I had a variety of likes. I didn't have any 5-star reads, and I didn't have any 1-star reads, but I had something for all of the other stars, which, I read 15, so there's a good chance of that happening. So the first book I finished in October, I actually started this in September, but I finished in October, is Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. I really didn't like this book. I gave it 2 stars. I got it in an owl crate, and it was really weird. I don't know, I felt like it was getting good towards the end, and then the end actually happened, and it was like, now I'm just really confused. So I didn't like it. It's about a girl who can talk to the gods, which I don't even remember what religion it followed, but they're like Slavic. That's what it was. It was weird, and I listened to it on audio, and the narrator had an accent for every person, so it was hard to understand the dialogue, and then that made it difficult to actually follow the story, and it just felt kind of choppy, and it didn't flow so great. I don't know, I feel like I don't have a lot of low-rated books. I actually had 2 this month that I didn't like. And I know it's a debut novel and that it's supposed to be a series. I don't really have any interest in continuing. I didn't like the way the book ended. I didn't like the way it made me feel like it was going. Like the next book, I don't think I like the direction she's headed. Yeah, it was interesting, but I gave it 2 stars. I got rid of the book already because I actually had it. I got it in an owl crate. Didn't like it. Yeah. The next book I read, I also don't have. It's called You Don't Know Me by Susan May Warren. It's actually part of a series, I think, but they're like, you can read them separate from each other, which is good because this is the only one I've read. I actually read this for book club. I gave it 3 stars. It was decent enough. I did like it. It's about a woman who is in witness protection. It kind of starts out 20 years after everything happens, and she's married with kids, and basically the guy she testified against got out of jail on parole and then vanished, and so her handler goes out to find her to tell her what's happening and help her out. So it's a lot. It kind of just, she didn't tell anybody, so nobody, her husband, her kids, her mother-in-law, nobody knows. Everybody thinks all of her family died in a car accident, and it was really good. There was a lot of plot holes. One of my biggest issues was the fact that she'd never told her husband. If you trust somebody enough to marry them, I feel like you should probably tell them all of your secrets. I'm not all of your secrets, but that one is kind of a big one. Like, life-altering. Yeah, that kind of bugged me, but it was good, and it paced well. It didn't get super boring or anything. Yeah, I liked it. I don't know if I'd ever read any of the other books by her, but the person who did recommend it has read a few of the other ones, and she said they're kind of similar in like storyline kind of thing, but that they're also really good. I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. It was better than Wicked Saints. The third book I read in October is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I actually think I started this in September because I finished it on the 12th. So, yeah. This book I gave 4 stars. It was really good. there were some plot holes and issues that I had with it, but it was good. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. Let's see. This is about 2 groups of people: the renegades, which are good guys, and the anarchists, which are bad guys. And they all have powers, and there's like superheroes and supervillains, and it follows 2 main characters. Nova is part of the anarchist group, and Adrian, he is part of the renegades. And yeah, let's see, what else can I say? I don't know, what else am I allowed to say? Basically, Nova hates the renegades. She has a very good reason-ish. I don't know, I've read the second book too, so I'm kind of wavering on her reasons, but probably shouldn't say that. So, Renegades follows 2 main characters. Nova is part of the anarchist group, and Adrian is part of the renegades. Nova hates the renegades. She does have a reason. And so it kind of just goes back and forth. I think I liked the second book better, because I did read that this month too. But this book was good. There are a few characters I really don't like, a few characters I don't really even care about, and then there's a couple characters that I really like. Yeah, there's some twists and stuff in it. I felt like the ending was predictable, but it was good. You know, if you like superheroes and supervillains and that kind of stuff, it does go in depth about whether good guys are really good and whether the bad guys are really all that bad, and you know, no one person is truly all evil or all good. You know, there's a gray area in there. So I did like that aspect of it. So I did really like this book. I gave it 4 stars. Let's see. The next book I read, I don't actually have the copy. My aunt has it. So I'll just hold up this one. It was Obsidian. So it's the first book in the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So I've read Obsidian before, probably... This was like my 3rd or 4th time reading it. I really like them. They're great. I gave it 4 stars again, like I always do. But the first book is about this girl named Katie, and her dad died of cancer 3 years prior to when the book is set, and her mom has decided that they need to move to kind of move on with life. And so they end up moving from Florida to West Virginia, I think, to this little teeny tiny town. They don't even have a stoplight. And her mom is a nurse, so she works at the hospital the town over, because they don't have one in the town they live in. But they move in next door to a couple of teenagers, a girl her age and her twin brother, and D, and I'm pretty sure you pronounce his name Demon. I've been saying Damon ever since I read it, but I just read The Golden Compass, and it's spelled the same as demon in The Golden Compass, so I kind of adopted saying demon. But yeah, I don't remember how much is revealed in the summary, because I don't actually have it, but basically there's some romance, and there are aliens, and yeah, I don't really want to say anything else. But I really like them, and I'm reading the second book right now, which I've also read 3 or 4 times, but yeah, I gave Obsidian 4 stars. It was great. The next book I read was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I've read this, this is my 2nd time reading it. I listened to this one on audio. Actually, so far, the only book I actually read was You Don't Know Me. The other ones I listened to on audio. Yeah, including this one. I wasn't super into it this time. I think last time I read it, I gave it 4 stars. I think this time I did give it 4 stars again. I don't know, I'm considering changing it to 3. But if you don't know what this is about, let's see. The main character is Elena Starkov, and she's a soldier in the First Army. And
let's see, the second army is full of people called Grisha, and they have powers, and there's different kinds. Some of them can like heal or manipulate your body, like they can crush your heart with a thought, and some of them can manipulate metals. Some of them can, let's see what else. Some of them are connected to like elements. But she is in the first army, and they're crossing something called the Shadowfold, and it's basically darkness full of monsters, and it splits the country in half. And they have to cross back and forth to get supplies and stuff. Like, they're cut off from the ocean, so if they want, fish or anything from the ocean, they have to cross. And so her and the boy she grew up with, Mal, they are both orphans, are part of the first army, and they're part of the group of soldiers that are crossing, and they get attacked. And she discovers that she is a Grisha, and she is a sun summoner. And so then she gets, she meets the Darkling, which is the opposite of a sun summoner, and she gets taken to the little palace so they can train her, and they're hoping that she will be powerful enough to destroy the Shadowfold. And so, yeah, I did like it. It's kind of based off of Russian culture. I don't know, I felt like it was just not as great this time. I don't know, I'm reading the second one and I'm not really into it. But I'm gonna finish the series because everybody says Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are awesome, and I really want to read them. But I want to read this one first. So yeah, I think I 3 stars with this one. I'm gonna change it. Yeah. The next book I read, I don't have it, but I started the Saga comic series, I guess. A lot of these, actually all of these books so far that I've mentioned, except for You Don't Know Me, I've read with book groups on caravan clubs. I joined one that was reading a whole bunch of different graphic novels because I've been wanting to get into graphic novels more. And I had to leave because the people were like, we're going to start with Saga on November 1st, and we're going to have 10 days to read the first volume. We're going to read 3 volumes a month, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That'll work for me. I don't own them, so I'll borrow them from the library. And then they started reading other graphic novels, like 3 of them in the group, and then discussing it, and it was just really annoying. So I left and read them on my own, and I'm talking, I have one person that I've been talking about the books with, the graphic novels that I have been reading, because she has read a bunch of them. And so yeah, anyway, I started Saga. I think I gave all of them 3 stars so far. Yeah, 3. I read the first 3 volumes. 3 stars. Basically this series is about Alana and Marco. I got it. Alana and Marco. Basically they're from two different planets. And their planets have been at war. It's kind of like a Romeo-Juliet kind of story. Their planets have been at war forever. She's a guard and he's a prisoner, and they end up falling in love, and they end up having a baby and going on the run, and yeah, it is really good. I like it. It's interesting, different. I can see why it's really popular, and the illustrations are great. Yeah, there's like ghosts and so many different creatures. It's great. It's very diverse. So yeah, I read the first 3 volumes this month. So yeah. The next book I read was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I gave it 4 stars this time. Again, I've read this twice. This series is about, it's dystopian. There are 2 different peoples. There's Silverblood and Redblood. Silverblood is like, they're the royalty and the upper class and powerful. They all have powers. And then the red people are like us. They're like normal humans. And they're lower class, and they do all the work, and it follows a girl named Mare, and she's a red, and she, when you turn 18, you're conscripted into the army if you're not an apprentice, and she isn't. And so all 3 of her older brothers had been conscripted. The only one of her siblings is her younger sister. She is an apprentice. She's very skilled with sewing. So she works for somebody, apprentices under someone who makes clothes for the Silvers. And basically she's accepted that she's going to be conscripted into the army. And then her best friend is apprenticed as a fisherman, and his master dies, and he's going to be conscripted in a week. He has a week before he turns 18, and he's going to go off to the army. So she decides she's going to try and help him escape so that he doesn't have to go. Anyway, she runs into somebody and ends up getting a job at the palace, and she has powers that she doesn't know she had, and she displays them accidentally in front of all of these noble peoples, and so they, what do they do? Yeah, they, basically the king and queen decide that they're going to make up a story about her and say that she's a lost princess, that her parents died during the war, and she was found by a red soldier and taken as their own child. And so she's raised as a red, and she has to pretend to basically be a silver, which is really hard when you bleed red blood instead of silver blood. So if you get like a paper cut, yeah. And she ends up betrothed to the youngest son. And yeah, so that's kind of the first book, and there's obviously some resistance in there. They call themselves something, I can't remember. But, I mean, it's dystopian. It was good. I had some issues with it. That's just why it doesn't have 5 stars. But I am reading the second book now. Yeah. The next book I read... Oh my gosh. Worst book I've ever read ever. Oh my gosh. Can't believe I read this book. This book was also for... Whoops, I changed it. It was also for book club. I hated it. It did get 2 stars, though. Just because I liked the beginning. Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. Yeah. I really, really pretty much hated this book. I don't understand why everybody loves it so much. I have a lot of issues with this book. It was terrible. I hated it. The only reason it got 2 stars was because I actually really liked the first section. It had like parts. There was 5 parts. Part 1 was great. I really liked part 1. It was like, I'm gonna like this book. I didn't expect to like it. I expected to not want to finish it. I listened to it on audio, which is the only reason I finished. I'm really glad I'm not gonna be at the meeting for that book, because that's in December, and I'm actually gonna be on vacation the day they're discussing it. Yeah, it was terrible. It's about this woman named Bernadette, and basically she doesn't like people. She doesn't leave her house unless she has to. One of the issues I had was, okay, first of all, they live in Seattle, so in the US. Her daughter's 15 and she's in 8th grade. When I was 15, I was a sophomore, so 10th grade. And they're all talking about how she's so much smarter than everybody else. Well, duh, she's supposed to be in 10th grade. Yeah, so that was one of the smaller issues I had with it. And the format it's written in, it's like letters and emails, and yeah, that's the format it's written in, which I did read the Illuminae Files, the first book, so I was okay with that format. I actually liked it. Basically, her daughter wants to go on a trip. She got perfect grades all through school for her 8th grade year, and her parents said that they'd give her whatever she wanted if she got perfect grades. It was all over an argument over how she wanted a pony and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, she ends up deciding she wants to go on a cruise to Antarctica. And her parents are like, okay, we can do that. Sure. And then Bernadette ends up disappearing, and it's a whole search for Bernadette, which, you know, she didn't disappear till, like, part 4, so I expected it to be a longer search. Anyway, some of the things that happened were just ridiculous. The mother-daughter relationship didn't make any sense. Hi, princess. Her husband was a terrible person. I don't understand why so many people like it. I don't know why it's a movie. I just don't get it. It was really bad. Yeah. The only reason I got 2 stars was because I liked part 1, which was like 100 pages. So it all went downhill from there. Okay, I'm done ranting. Moving on. The next book I read was The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. I gave this book 3 stars. Yes, 3 stars. They made a movie for this book, and it didn't follow the book at all. Like, I'm surprised at how much stuff is different. Which I shouldn't be, because Percy Jackson. Anyway, they're making an HBO TV show, and so I read this with a caravan group. Actually, I don't really think anybody's started the second book yet. I've been waiting because I'm reading so many books. Anyway, this follows a girl named Lyra Belacqua. She is an orphan, and she lives at Jordan College. She's like a ward of the college. And they have things called demons, and they're basically the other half of their soul in an animal kind of thing, but they can shapeshift while they're children. When they grow up, their demons settle, is what they call it, and they stay in one form. So basically, there's these people they call them gobblers. They don't actually know what they do. There's lots of rumors, but they kidnap children, and the children are never seen again. And so there's all these theories about what they do, and one of them is cannibalism, so that's why they call them the gobblers. Anyway, her uncle comes to the college, and he's like an explorer, and he starts talking about something called dust, and it's not like regular dust, it's special dust. Yeah. And so she becomes interested in it, and then she's trying to investigate the missing children, and she gets something called an alethiometer, which is basically a truth-telling device, and nobody can really read it, but she teaches herself how to, and her best friend ends up going missing. He's a kitchen boy, and yeah, so basically that's the first book. I don't know what's gonna happen in the second book, but I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I feel like I left this book with way more questions than I wanted to. The ending was a little odd, but I will continue just because I'm curious. I did like the book better than the movie. I listened to it on audio, and Philip Pullman narrates, and there's voice actors for all of the characters, so that was really neat. I did end up reading the last part 3, which was a good, probably about 80 pages. Yeah, I'm curious about the next book. It's a popular series. Yeah. Let's see, the next book I read was Nimona. So this is another graphic novel that I read. This is Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. Oh my gosh, this was so good. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know why I didn't give it 5. I thought about it when I rated it, and I still feel like I wanted to give it 5. So I might change this one to 5 stars. It was so good. I loved it so much. I made my brother read it, and he liked it. My mom just read it, and she liked it. Yeah. It's great. Basically, his name is Golden Lion, and he's a good guy, and his name is Blackheart, and he's a bad guy, and her name is Nimona, and you don't really know what she is throughout the whole book till the end, kind of. Basically, he's a villain, and she wants to be his sidekick, and it's hilarious, and they gallivant through the kingdom creating chaos, and she's a shapeshifter, and yeah, it's great. It was great. It was so funny, and yeah, I'll probably end up buying this because I have it from the library. I really liked it. It was awesome. Yeah, 5 stars. And the illustrations are great. I mean, yeah, it's just great. It was awesome. Okay, the next books, I read The Saga Volume 2. Oh, I read another graphic novel. I read, It's not loading. Speak, the graphic novel version by Lori Halls Anderson. I did give this one 5 stars. So that's 2 5-star. Both of them graphic novels, too. So this is a graphic novel. I've seen the movie, but I've never read the novel. This book, wow. It's about a girl who, she's a freshman in high school, and I don't know if it was over the summer. I think it was. She was 13, and she went to a party, and she was raped. And so it kind of follows her through the aftermath, which the author has a similar story. She was raped when she was 13, so I'm sure she knows exactly what happened. Yeah, it was a very heavy topic. I really liked it. The illustrations were beautiful. I ended up getting it as an ebook on my phone. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I felt like I could connect with her on a certain level. She was outcast because she called the police after it happened at the party, and everybody hated her because some people got arrested and some people lost scholarships to college, and yeah, she was a freshman, and the guy that did it was, I think he was a junior, like a senior. He's older. Yeah, and so she lost all of her friends. She closed herself off from her family, her parents. She changed a lot after it happened, and so basically she was an outcast, and I can empathize with that because I didn't really have any friends either. I still don't really have any friends. I was homeschooled for a long time, and I went to high school for my senior year, and I had acquaintances, kids that would talk to me. I ate lunch with my best friend from elementary school, which she moved, so we still talk sometimes, but I don't get to see her anymore. So yeah, I don't really have any friends. She was ostracized for being different. She didn't talk a lot. Yeah, and so I could understand some of her feelings towards people and school and life, and she ends up finding a janitor's closet that's been abandoned and kind of turning it into her like safe haven. And her favorite class is art. It's the only class she does well in. The teacher assigns them an object at the beginning of school. She gets a tree, and basically he wants them to create it artistically in as many different ways as they can to kind of try and understand art. And so she draws trees, she sculpts trees, all these trees everywhere, to try and, understand art. And that was kind of what kind of brought her out. She ended up making a friend in art class, and she really liked her teacher. And her ex-best friend, they were friends before it happened, starts dating the guy that did it. And so she's like, I have to tell somebody, because she never told anybody it happened. Nobody knows except her and the guy. And so she ends up finding her voice and trying to help her friend. And yeah, it was good. I don't know if I could read the novel, but the graphic novel was good. I would recommend it. I know she wrote the book in the 90s, and this one came out in the early 2000s, the graphic novel. But yeah, it was really good. I liked it. Let's see, the next book I read was Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer, the sequel to Renegades. This one was a lot shorter than the first book, probably by about 200 pages. Like I said, I think I liked this one more. I feel like this one had continuation of some of the plot problems I had with the first book. But I was discussing it with one of the other people reading it, and I mean, it is a fictional world about superheroes and supervillains. It was good enough that the plot holes don't bug me so much. But man, this really makes you question whether the good guys are really good in this world, because there's some moral issues in there. Yeah. I'm anxious to find out where the third book goes. I gave this one 4 stars too. Yeah. The next book I read was The Raven Voice by Maggie Stiefvater. I've heard a lot about this book in the past few years. The series, actually. I found a book group reading it on Caravan. It was different. I didn't know what to expect. I feel like when I first heard about it, I thought it was based in the past and not the present. Like, more like medieval times. I don't know why I had that idea, but I did. Anyway, this is based in modern times. So basically, this book follows a girl named Blue. Her mother's a psychic, and every year she goes to the graveyard with her mother, and they, what does it say? The soon-to-be dead walk through, so they'll die within a year from that day. A boy named Gansey walks through, and she can't see the dead, she can't speak to them. She's kind of like an amplifier. She makes everything louder for her mother, but she ends up speaking to him. And so her mom says, either you kill him or he's your true love. So she's like, well, I really hope I don't kill him. But at the same time, her mother has always told her, and several other psychics as well, that if she kisses her true love, he will die. So it could be both. But yeah, so then it's in her point of view and Gansey's point of view, and he's a Raven Boy, which is what she calls them. I don't know if it's part of the school, but they go to a school. It's a private school called Aglenby, and it follows his group of friends. There's 4 of them all together: Ronan, Noah, Adam, and Gansey. And basically, he's looking for a long-dead ancient king, because if you wake him from the dead, he gives you a wish or a favor, something like that. And so it kind of follows him and his crazy adventure. I don't know, it's so different from anything I've ever read. But yeah, it was good. I'm curious to start the second book. I haven't started it yet, but I do have it from the library. I don't know if I'll buy these books. I did give this book 4 stars, just because it was so interesting. It'll depend on how the series goes. I know there's 4 books. I'm probably going to have to read them all to decide if I like it. It's just that different. I don't know. It was really good. Yeah, it was great. I really liked it. And then the last book I read was the 3rd saga book, but I've already talked about those, so yeah. Those are the 15 books I read/listened to in October. Yeah. I can't believe I got through that many. I was in a major slump. I read 9 from January to August, and then I read 8 last month, and I almost doubled it this month. I'm actually almost halfway through quite a few books right now, so it's looking like I'll be reading a bunch next month too, which is good, because my original goal for the year was 50 books, and then I ended up changing it to 25 because I'd only read 8 in 7 months. And now I'm almost, let's see, I'm at 33 or something like that, or 34. So I changed it to 40 after I met my 25. So I could possibly make it to 50. I'm going to try. Audiobooks are amazing. But yeah, those are all the books. So many books. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!